Hello, cyclocross friends, and welcome back to the Heat Check. If this is your first time here, it's pretty straightforward. Until it's not. We're counting down the top 11 cyclocrossers racing the UCI calendar in North America. So you might ask, how do we do this? To create our top 11 in the power rankings, we take into consideration results, performance analytics, fine-tuned benchmarks, and just a little bit of secret sauce. Now, some may call this an algorithm. You can call it whatever you like. For this year, I'm calling it Brian. We have one weekend of racing under our championship belts, and that took place at Fallon Park in Roanoke, Virginia for Go Cross, a UCI C1, C2 event and the first stop in the USCX series. That's the intro. Let's check out some heat. We're starting our power rankings with the women, and we're starting with number 11. And in that 11th spot, it's Lydia Cusack. The CXD Trek Bikes junior racer had a bit of bad luck early on Saturday in Roanoke, but kept at it to finish 5th in the UCI junior women's race. On Sunday, she took advantage of the wet, greasy conditions to take the win and the first spot in the heat check. In 10th place, it's Alyssa White, who came out of the blocks flying on Saturday to take a dominating victory in the junior event. On Sunday, she fought with the leaders all race, coming up short of the win, but finishing second. The 9th spot on the Heat Check Power Rankings goes to Amelia Shea. The Feedback Sports riders raced consistently on both days in Roanoke, earning an 8th place in Saturday's C1 and 10th in the C2. Good enough for 9th in the Heat Check. In 8th place, it's Emily Shields. The Pink and Green Army showed up in numbers for Shields' hometown race, proving that familiarity breeds success. Warner put in 2 solid days of racing, finishing 7th on Saturday and 6th on Sunday. The 7th slot in the heat check goes to Taylor Cook White. The rider in black quietly made her way onto the wide-angle podium in 5th place on Saturday, and followed it up with 9th place finish in the tricky rainy conditions on Sunday. Which brings us to 6th place, and Alice Zerner's granddaughter. Lauren Zerner put in a great effort over the weekend, finishing 6th on Saturday and 5th on Sunday. The Groove Off-Road Racing rider was also the highest placed U23 woman on both days. In 5th place is Sydney McGill. The Cervelo Orange Living racer wins the Consistency Award with a pair of 4th place finishes on the weekend. She'll be looking to move onto the podium in Rochester and also to climb up the power rankings in weeks to come. In the 4th spot is Raylan Nuss. The Pan American champ battled for the 2nd spot both days, just coming up short on the weekend. A pair of 3rd place finishes between the tape, but it's only good enough for 4th in the heat check. And in 3rd place is Carolyn Manee. The defending USCX champ fought, scrapped, clawed her way through these races. She wasn't going to be able to catch the winner, but she wasn't letting anyone take away that 2nd spot. And by now, if you're doing the math at home, you have to be thinking, something doesn't add up. Who else is left? I can tell you that your confusion will not subside by this revelation. In 2nd place, in the CX Heat Check Power Rankings, is Magali Rochette. Yeah, that's right. 2nd place. She won Saturday's race by 50 seconds. And then on Sunday, she won that race by 1 minute and 50 seconds. That is the definition of a heat check. So how is she 2nd? I will tell you how. The reason that Magali Rochette, despite her dominance, is in the 2nd spot is because her dominance was so overwhelming that she's also in the top spot. Yeah, that's right. Mags is not only 2nd in the power rankings, she's also 1st. Just pure unadulterated dominance. 2 top steps, Magali Rochette, number 1 and number 2 in the heat check power rankings. And that's it for the women. Here's your top 11 in graphical form. And remember, if you screenshot the power rankings graphic and post it on social media, you are required under international law to also post the link to the full video. It's the rules. If you don't like it, take it up in The Hague. And now it's time to move on to the men. In 11th place is David Thompson. The new AG2R U19 signing was a step above the competition on both days at Go Cross in the junior men's field, which earns him a place in the heat check. In 10th is Marcus Shelton. Another young gun, another Bear National MTB guy taking some pulls on the cyclocross bike. Shelton finished 8th on Saturday and 9th on Sunday. The 9th spot belongs to Michael Vandenham. He will always be our second favorite Canadian, but for now, he's only 9th in our favorite power rankings. In 8th is Drew Dillman. Better when the conditions are worse, Dillman was 13th on the perfect weather day Saturday and 6th in the tougher conditions on Sunday. The 7th spot goes to Jack Spranger. His 21st place on Saturday definitely wasn't the result that got him in the power rankings. In fact, it would take something pretty spectacular after that to get a mention. 5th place on day 2 for the Bear National standout was more than spectacular enough to get on the heat check. In 6th place is Caleb Swartz. A 6th place on Saturday and 7th place on Sunday, Swartz was always just off the lead group. A couple more bike lengths here and there, and we may have a worthy contender for this season's A Dangler. Now, if you thought Magali in 2nd place was a bold pick, wait until you hear this one. In 5th place, it's Curtis White. If you're doing the back of the napkin math and thinking something doesn't add up, I have a question for you. What prevents people from using the front of the napkin? Is that saved for non-math musings? And how can you tell the front from the back? The only real explanation is that the arbitrary front of the napkin may have been used to wipe your hands or face. If that's the case, get a new napkin for the math, or just use your phone. It's the 21st century, for Steve Jobs' sake. But back to Curtis. He was 4th both days, he was consistent, he was in the lead group, but he never made that move, played that card, took that chance, threw up the heat check that earned him anything higher than 5th. Which means that in 4th place is Andrew Strohmeyer. Too many trips to the pit on Sunday led to a DNF for Strohmeyer, and that alone should knock him down the rankings. But the power rankings aren't just about adding up results and filling in a spreadsheet. Throw away the napkin. You won't need it here. Strohmeyer on Saturday was the instigator. The guy got knocked off his bike on lap 1, picked himself up and made it back to the leaders, where he attacked them over and over again until eventually finishing 3rd. The highest placed American man on the weekend. If that's not the definition of a heat check, I don't know what is. And for those new around here trying to decode the language, the heat check comes from basketball. Basically, if you throw up a few long shots and they go in, you're going to want to back up and take an even longer shot. And if that goes in, it's on. You're firing it up every time you see the ball. You're certifiably hot. That longer shot that went in, the one you normally wouldn't take, that's how you know you're hot. That's the heat check. Now moving on to the top 3, and in 3rd, it's Vincent Bastens, a familiar name to the US cyclocross fans. Vinny B has dominated early season cyclocross for the past few seasons in North America, and he was back to do it again. But for the first time, we're seeing Vinny not on the top of his game. The fitness, it isn't there, and he wasn't able to ride away from the field like in years past. He still was able to use his craftiness, however, to finish 5th on Saturday and 2nd on Sunday. And that brings us to our top 2. And in 2nd place is Anton Ferdinand, possibly the most disappointed podium finisher ever to race at Go Cross. The kid was crushed. And rightfully so. He was most likely the strongest rider in the field, but some bad positioning on Saturday and bad luck on Sunday kept him from the top spot. He's fired up and looking towards Rochester. As an aside, tangentially related to Anton Ferdinand, did you know that in the intro to Franz Ferdinand's hit Take Me Out, Alex Capranos, the singer, he sings, "I'm just a crosshair." I'm just a crosshair. Me too, Alex. Me too. Which takes us to Loris Rouillet, who stands atop the heat check power rankings. He wasn't feeling the best on Saturday, but gutted it out for the win after seemingly getting dropped. On Sunday, he stayed with Ferdinand at the front of the race and took advantage of Anton's late race drop chain to secure the weekend sweep. And that does it for the men. While you take a look at the top 11, I want to remind you to subscribe to the CX Hairs Bulletin at cxhairs.substack.com. And you can also go to cxhairsdistro.com to buy a cyclocross themed t-shirt. All of those links, they're going to be down below in the description. And we're done. Thanks for watching the Heat Check. If you liked it, please share with your cyclocross friends. And I know I haven't said it in a while, but for those who may need to hear it, hang in there, kid.